right. Sir William Shakespeare, and I want you to know that Hellfire Agency is a mission for critical thinking of the Church of Korihor, a spiritual community for godless people. That's right, William Shakespeare? And everybody should be considered innocent until proven guilty. We get things wrong sometimes. We want to know them we get them wrong. And so let us know if we got them wrong. We make no claims as to the complete accuracy of anything represented here on Hellfire Agency. And the views and opinions of those of the guests, host, commentators, and not of the Church of Korihor, strictly speaking. Yes, that's right. That's right. And William Shakespeare is on to catching mice. Today we're going to talk about Tyler Robinson's rifle and the problematic nature of this rifle. But first, we got to get in the spirit of things. And so to do that, I will remind you that you can always donate to the Church of Korihor or to our missions by going to korihor.org /give. And then, of course, you can always donate to the church by going to korihor.org and clicking on the donate button to donate to the church. We greatly appreciate your support. And just to get things started off, remember always, we're going to bring on a new guest here today. And remember always that if we're going to do the good work of agnosticism and atheism, we need more money than
gather round, storm these pews at the sound, spoil God's coffers for Korihor, steal these ties to feed the poor. Poor church mice and their offering plates will wake to our hoods in their face, rob St. Peter down to the floor, make God stand for something more. We'll fleece Mammon's coffers, their starving flock to feed, send them back to Jesus without their means. So Judas steeples into unholy sod, finally have more money than God. Folks they don't, but godly men get elected so that he won't. They dance round the mountain with their golden calf, cast their tablets down on Yahweh's behalf. No need to pay to pray in their pews. Look to Korah. With their 30 pieces of silver, we'll escape their hell. If they try to stop us, we'll ring their bell. If they get up the Danites on their graves, we'll trod. Finally have more money than God.
Sorry about that, managing multiple things at the same time. I'm going to bring on a special guest with us today. We have Mark waiting in the wings, and this is Mark's first time on our program, just became newly acquainted with the Church of Korihor and our Godless Mission, and sure enough, he's here to learn about our true crime work with the new Tyler Robinson series. So, Mark, how are you, sir?
I'm doing amazing. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. You ready to learn some more than you ever thought you wanted to know about Tyler Robinson?
I can't wait. I unironically, and I feel so embarrassed about this. I had to ask Google Gemini real quick who Tyler Robinson was because I forgot who he was, and I was like, "Oh, that guy." Okay.
That guy. What do you
That
think when you what do you think of this his story so far? What impression does the case leave with you?
So all I know is he got not convicted, but he got arrested like the day of or whatever. And then I don't think I actually know anything about the case. I don't
Cool.
even yeah, so I'm completely new.
That's exactly where you need to be. So I can get to tell you some cool things, interesting things,
All
and
right.
some less cool things. So it's about 2 days after the early exit of Charlie Kirk from this world that he was arrested and allegedly had turned himself in. Now, since then, it has been just one situation after another of his story turning out to be not exactly what the state of Utah County Sheriff's Office, and the FBI had originally told us. So it's interesting to see how this is panning out because it's I did a lot of I've done a lot of coverage of um, not so much current events on current crime, true crime in Utah, but the some of the past stuff, especially when it comes to like Ted Bundy and so forth. And it's fascinating how the law enforcement agencies in Utah play fast and loose with the facts.
I
So,
do, yeah.
yeah. So, today, in fact, we're going to be talking about this guy here. Let me go ahead and add this in here. Share screen. And
Boy.
this is, where did it go? Oh, maybe I have to bring up the actual image itself. Well, I'll show it in a minute here. Well, let me load a video here. So we're going to learn about a little bit about Tyler Robinson's rifle. Now, everybody, if you've heard about this with this rifle, basically it's a Mauser 98 rifle, and it commonly gets referred to in the media as a World War II era rifle and a family heirloom that was supposedly left to Tyler Robinson given to Tyler Robinson by his grandfather. Now, the weapon itself has been chambered at 30-06. I don't know. Do you know firearms at all?
I do a little bit, not
Okay.
enough to use any, but I do know a bit about it though.
What do you know about 30-06?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. Well, it's a reference to the capacity of the rounds and that you can actually fire out of.
Okay. The amount of ammo. Got it. Okay.
Well, it's how powerful the ammo is, how big, and
Right.
and basically these are weapons that are ideal for hunting big game from a long distance or a medium distance.
Okay.
They are very powerful weapons, basically, right?
Okay.
And it's true that they were issued at one point by the German army during World War II. I think that the U.S. Army had also used them at some point. But they were common in World War II. They were carried by the Germans. Some Germans, all right. So that's true that it is that it was a common weapon then, but it's just generally one of the most common bolt action rifles out in the marketplace at any point in time, right?
So it's still common today to have this, or is it a very uncommon gun to have?
I mean, I wouldn't say everybody, there are lots of different kinds of long guns out there, but it wouldn't be uncommon for somebody to have one of these if they were like a hunter, for example.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not, now as to whether or not this weapon has ever been to war, I think somebody found out that, oh, this was a common weapon used during World War II, and so they just call it a World War II era weapon. Nobody really knows, as far as I have been able to verify, if this is an actual weapon, that was like military surplus, or did Tyler Robinson's grandfather carry it in battle. It looks like it's probably just something he bought off of the gun exchange in Utah. So who knows? Who knows what the facts are? But so far, it's caused a big kerfuffle in terms of all of the claims about this weapon that allegedly was found in the bushes near UVU in Orem. You are familiar with Utah, let's say. Show us. In the bushes there in Orem, Provo area, they found this weapon and took a photograph of it, released it. For a while, it was looking like many podcasters were saying this can't be the one, because this weapon, you look at the weapon, it has a composite stock. So basically it has a plastic butt to it instead of a wooden one. And everybody knows they didn't carry those in World War II. And
I don't even know if they had plastic in World War II.
I mean, they had plastic, but I don't think they really made weapons with it. It was still, pretty cheap for them and efficient to use wood. Yeah. So they don't. So for a while it was like, oh well, this must be a stock image of a 30-06 chambered Mauser 98. But now it's turning out more and more evidence seems to be conclusive that the media actually did release the images that were given to them by law enforcement of the actual weapon, and that's become something interesting. And I'm going to show you a video now about why that is now suddenly more interesting than before. Because before they were saying this can't be the weapon, it's the wrong era. It's the if it's the same weapon, they've retooled the stock and probably sporterized the barrel. At that point, who's to know what kind of gun it is? Well, that's because people were just making the assumption that they knew that it was this World War II era, military issue rifle, based on the fact that the media was reporting that it was a World War II era rifle. And it's like they didn't know where it came from. They don't know any real useful information about it. So, but here's why it's interesting. I'm going to show you a little video from some podcasters online who specialize in firearms.
The bolt is cocked, meaning this cocking piece is set back. It's actually resting on the sear right now. And the normal safety function is when you flip it up and it locks in its first position, it actually pushes back the cocking piece, right, and moves it off of the sear, at which point you're not going to be able to fire the rifle, okay? But the bolt can still be opened. In its full safe position, which is the second position here, or I guess the third position if you count the fire position first, the trigger still doesn't function, and in this full safe position, the bolt cannot be opened, okay? So that's the normal functionality of the safety.
Okay, so this guy's not talking about Tyler Robinson at all. He's just talking about making gunsmithing updates to his rifle, right?
Right.
What do you think so far? What strikes you about this demonstration of the safety on the Mauser 98?
Well, it's interesting that there's like two different safety locks, or not locks, but steps. As I said before, I'm not a gun person, so I'm not used to there being three modes for a gun. So I do find it interesting. I feel like I'm missing something though.
Nope, you got it. You got it exactly. Okay. Particularly that you have three positions, and you can't go in the standard safety. You can't go from non-firing and non-loading position over to load and fire position all the way open, without actually passing over from one side of the barrel to the other side.
Right. Okay. I get that.
And so you have this whole action is locked in place by this flag. They call it a flag type of safety. Now the problem that comes up in modern age when scopes now have that flared sides on the front and back end of the gun, on the front and back end of the optical, is that little flag collides with the scope if it is a low what do you call it, like a low mounted scope.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So so what happens is that a lot of people who buy these, they wind up taking the action out, or at least replacing the if not the whole action, they wind up at least replacing the safety with a 2-position safety or a 3-position safety that opens on one side or that flips around, a different direction than going over side to side. There are only a handful of them out there, but but that's basically so that they can mount a scope that's actually close enough that you can sight down the barrel and actually get a good action, good sight. So that's the problem that we end up with here. Now, what's interesting about that when it comes to Tyler Robinson's is that we see here. This channel, I found out what channel this is, and now I don't remember. I'm going to find them and put them in the notes here, people. I'm sorry about that. But this guy, he's been following the Tyler Robinson case specifically, and and he was looking at the same issue with this picture that we thought that at one point podcasters were saying this is definitely just a stock image of this rifle because that can't be Tyler Robinson's rifle. Now that we know that this is the weapon that they're saying is Robinson's rifle, this is the observation.
This is not a stock photo, according to them. This is the actual legitimate firearm in a FBI evidence box or the police evidence box. You see a couple of flashlights. You see the grass where they say they found it. They did 2 posts, one on the 11th and one on the 12th of September 2025. The second post, the gun allegedly used by Robinson to kill Kirk, again obtained by NY Post, and it's the same exact image. According to all the sources that I can find now, it appears that is, in fact, the rifle. That's the alleged rifle used by Tyler Robinson, the alleged rifle that his father or grandfather recognized. So if that's all true, then based on all the knowledge we've seen all the way up to this point about these safeties and modifications and things you can do, what can we take away from this? The first thing that's very clear is it does not have the factory default wooden stock. And if this is wood, it'd be painted black. It would still be an aftermarket change. And in this case, it does look like it's synthetic, some kind of composite plastic. And you can see it doesn't go all the way to the end of the barrel like the other versions did. And in a lot of these, which were sporterized, they changed out the barrel for 30-06. So all of that would match with everything they've said so far. Now, the really important piece of this, I think, now that I know that this is the rifle, as you can see, the scope is very low profile. So if we zoom in, remember, we had all those different kinds of safeties. So what does this look like from here? It's very hard to tell. If I scoot back a little bit, it looks a little bit more obvious. But this, to me, based on what I can see, without using any AI to enhance this or anything like that, this does look like the actual military wing safety. This looks a lot like that wing safety that we saw in the other videos and images. So if that's the case, what does that mean? If the wing safety is on the right, that means you cannot either open the bolt or pull the trigger. So if that's the case, if this is the traditional military wing safety and this scope was not removed and put back on by the FBI or by Tyler Robinson while he was running away during that short period of time, then that means that this weapon could not have been loaded or fired. This looks bad if this is legit.
Well, what do you think about that so far, Mark?
That is confusing as heck. Am I allowed to swear in this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was just confusing as fuck. Okay.
Yeah, it is. Hey, while we're swearing, let's bring in Diamond Davis in the chat. How you doing, Diamond Dave?
I should be in bed right now, but I just got off another podcast. What's going on?
Hey, good to see you. This is Mark. Mark, this is our friend Diamond Dave.
Nice to meet you, Diamond Dave.
Yo.
So what time is it in Mongolia, Dave?
11:20 in the morning.
Oh my gosh, it's 11:20.
I usually go to bed at around noon or 1 o'clock, but
I should be going to bed soon. It's going to be midnight here in Virginia. So, what you've been following the Tyler Robinson case at all there, Diamond Dave?
I mean, bits and pieces. I've been seeing a lot of the fact that it's like a government conspiracy or something because there are so many issues with the firearm.
Yeah.
Or that's kind of like the more bizarre one. I've also heard the case of like multiple shooters, kind of a thing, like a JFK thing, right? Where like he's the but it was actually someone else who took the shot.
Right.
Which I'm going to be honest, I don't know too much about the ballistics. I haven't followed that much, but based off of what little I know, I think it's highly unlikely that someone, now granted he has some experience with firearms, but I find it unlikely that someone of his age and overall lack of like just general combat experience or like lack of like extreme skill could pull off a shot like that, given the distance and the trajectory. What is it called? The Coriolis effect, where you have to like account for like the angle of the bullet. So there's like the bullet drop, but it's also the wind and how the wind can impact the bullet, right?
Right.
That's more advanced shooting, and I don't know if I've seen enough evidence to suggest that he would be aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
it is confusing. Let me tell you why I think you're hitting on something really, really important there, Diamond Dave. If I can share something with you guys here, I'm going to share a document from Windows. Let's see, it's the Tyler Robinson information, I think. So this is, I believe this is the ballistics motion. Or no, this is the original complaint. Yeah, this is the original complaint against Tyler Robinson filed by the prosecution. And this supposedly that we're looking at here is the best evidence they have, maybe the only real solid witness that they have in this case. And that is, quote unquote, the roommate, one Lance Twiggy. Apparently they interviewed him or them. I still haven't gotten confirmation on what Twiggy's pronouns are, so I apologize to them if I get them wrong. But apparently this is the weird text, one of the weird text message exchanges that gets mentioned. It's like who talks like this, right? And one of the major reasons why people are saying it feels really contrived. It feels like this isn't a real conversation between two people who were born in the years 2000. But okay. But one is about this scope. And it says, this is Robinson's answer, apparently, to Twiggy. Apparently, this is this on Discord? No,
I believe
by text message.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently.
Because I know there were Discord messages that were confiscated, so.
Yeah, and that's like a whole thing in itself. If you followed that, the whole Discord controversy.
I followed it in the beginning, and I got kind of bored with it because I thought it was AI. Honestly, I'm just like, there's no way two human beings talk like this, and I'm like, this is dumb. I'm out. I have other things to do with my life.
As a young millennial, I guess I've experienced a lot of stupid bullshit on Discord. So to be fair, I have seen stuff that you would think is AI when it's not. So, but
I mean, I'm on Discord. I've seen a lot of stupid bullshit too. So, I mean, I completely agree. I'm just like, I thought it was stupid bullshit made by AI as opposed to like stupid bullshit by human beings.
I can see that, yeah.
But okay, so here is allegedly by text message. This is this conversation and the response by Tyler Robinson apparently says, I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed the rifle, as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDK if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. I didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the fuck will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The fucking messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices bulge you on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it. That really fucking sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine IDK. I think that was a $2,000 scope.
Wow. That
I
is
take
every
back-
single thing that like a ballistics expert would magically be looking for.
I take back everything I said about the Discord and the AI bullshit. That is,
Right?
there's no way. There's no way.
That was
There's
the
no way
most.
there's no way a human being did that, because he literally talked about the type of scope, what he was worried about, how he disposed of it, right? Like literally
Oh
every
my
single thing a
God.
question, like an investigator would question a person on, just magically happened to be in that one fucking paragraph.
That
There's
Imagine-
no way
paragraph.
a human being wrote that.
Oh my God.
It's like, what in the world is happening?
What do
here?
we even do with that paragraph? I feel bad for the judge. Like, how is he gonna judge this? This is terrifying.
Right?
This is
And so
awful.
it's a curious situation to find themselves in, is that it's not just that, not that now you have this gun that this rifle almost certainly looks like, can't know until we actually look at it, and handle it with better, or at least look at better images of it, but it looks like it can't possibly be fired with this scope on it, number one. But then you have whoever Tyler Robinson this conversation is talking about the scope and how well the gun shoots with this scope, and how he can hit a target from about 200 200 feet away, 200, like 100, almost 100 yards away, really. And it's like, and how he can do this. If the gun doesn't fire with that scope on it, who's writing that text message? That's the concern that I'm looking at here.
Texter Robinson. That's who it is. No.
So
I'm a young kid, sorry.
so it's pretty balls. But the reason why I say that that's pretty weird, in addition to that, is that we have this. Oh shoot, we have this document instead. Tyler Robinson's. This was from I think it was 2 months ago. Stop screen on that and start screen on this. I'll get used to dealing with StreamYard here. Oh, the wind is picking up. Cool. Let's see if everything on my house is strapped down. All right. So this is, you guys see this okay?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
So this is a filing from the defense, I believe. Yeah. On behalf of Tyler Robinson, in this case of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. And they're looking at getting, let's see, the exact request they're looking for. They're looking for requested relief. By this motion, Mr. Robinson requests that the court issue the following orders. 1, a temporary order prohibiting the state and its agents from conducting any further testing of one bullet jacket fragment pending the outcome of this motion. Now, the bullet fragment that they're talking about here is the one that allegedly was pulled out of the body of Charlie Kirk, as I understand it. An order permitting the defense a meaningful opportunity to examine and photograph this evidence, meaning the casings and the bullet fragment they pulled out of Charlie Kirk and the weapon, before it is further altered or destroyed. In the alternative, an order permitting either defense expert observation of any further alteration and testing of this evidence, or requiring video recording of such alteration and testing. My understanding is that basically the circumstances are that they knew that if they were going to continue to do any more testing or more aggressive testing with the bullet fragments and so forth, that they needed to be able to fold the pieces of the bullet fragment and so forth. They were going to need to actually be able to test it and all the way to the point of destroying it. And so the defense is like, wait a second. this is the evidence in the case, and once it's destroyed, we can't go back and look at it, ask any more questions about it. No, you can't just fuck with it until it's destroyed. We need to, there's still a murder trial going on here, and
Right.
so it's a curious thing, because this all resulted after they had the ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, had received the rifle and had taken matching rounds to the ones that had been found or been turned in with the rifle and passed them through it, confirmed that it does fire. And so it's like, okay, wait a second. What about the safety in this scope? They must have either not had the scope on it, or maybe the scope didn't even arrive with it. I don't know. As far as I can tell, there's no information in the ballistics report about them even receiving the scope with it. They just apparently received the rifle. And so, but what they were able to what they came up with here, let me see if I can find the actual place where it says it. I think they say to the exclusion of, wait a second. They were looking at the tool markings. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. They were looking through the tool markings, so the marks actually made on the rounds or on the casings, to match them up with the actual weapon itself, and they couldn't identify it. They couldn't confirm, to the exclusion of all other weapons, that this bullet fragment or this spent casing came from this weapon. And that's a curious problem that you're going into. I think that's probably what you were talking about there, Diamond Dave, about the question.
That's part of it. But there's also, you just bring up another question, right? Earlier you said there was a question of whether or not, the rifle could be fired with the scope on it. And then it was indicated that it could be. Okay. So the rifle, when the scope is on it, is capable of discharging a round. The question would be, in my humble opinion, is that rifle, which, yes, it's capable of discharging rounds, is it capable of discharging a round to that accuracy and degree held in the hands of basically a common man? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because it's 100 yards away, and again, he does, we have seen evidence that, okay, he's capable of, being a decent shot. But the question is, when you factor in the Coriolis effect, as well as just the rifle, the angle, you look at the security around, things of that nature, right? Like, can that rifle, because it looks like it's an older rifle, can that rifle function to that degree of efficiency?
Yeah.
And that's the first question. And the second question was, did that round, which it seems like the rounds that was found in Charlie Kirk could not actually have been found from that rifle. So the next question is, if that is true, who fired the shot? Because it's not him.
Right.
According to the case. So
my question is, if it wasn't him, why the fuck is he making it obvious that it's him a little bit in the text?
I don't. Well, here's the thing.
Assuming that's him.
I don't think it. I mean, assuming what we're talking about is true, it would not be him.
Why did he turn himself in? That's my. I'm not trying to discredit you.
The simple question is, because it looks better for you and you have a better chance of fighting it out if you're innocent than running. Because there have been many cases where if you're innocent and you run, that alone could kill your case, because that implies you're guilty to a jury.
Well, and part of it also is that, and that's in the case that you can conclude that he did turn himself in, which the more that comes out about what actually happened the night that day when he was arrested, the more clear it is that he didn't turn himself in. His parents dragged him to the sheriff's office together with a former U.S. Marshal who apparently was from his ward, from his congregation. And so, he doesn't appear to have turned himself in willingly at all.
Well,
And
there
so,
you go. That answers that. So,
but now,
I feel so bad for saying this, but I'm not even surprised that he's a Mormon.
well, he himself, I think, is Jack Mormon, but not that it makes
is
sense.
he? I mean, is he even a Mormon technically? Because, like, from what little I've heard, I wouldn't even call him a Jack Mormon. He just happens to be born in a Mormon family.
Yeah, I mean, I think my understanding is that he's baptized, so that means he's technically Mormon. But I mean, back when I was a kid,
inactive. He's like inactive, whatever.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm going to say this: the Mormon connection to me isn't really a connection. I know some people like to harp on that, but it's like, given this particular case compared to many other cases out there, the evidence, the preponderance of evidence, as Colby Reddish would say, would lean toward more of, he was baptized. He was like when he was a kid, but like many other Christians and Catholics who were baptized as a kid, that doesn't mean they actually believe in it. And that doesn't mean they actually live it as they grow up. That's just something their parents made them do. So,
well, there are Mormons who do bad things, and then there are people who aren't Mormons who do bad things, and it's not
exactly.
Committing crimes is doing crimes. Mm-hmm. But one of the interesting things about when it comes to particularly the 30-06 actually comes from Tyler Robinson's grandfather, and this has only been since the last few weeks, since the hearings have been back on. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but just to catch everybody up on this on the story, I'm just going to go ahead and share this. I'm going to try playing it off of the tubes and see if it see if we get shut down. Forgive me if we get shut down, folks. But let's see here. So this was shared by Candace Owens. She's not the reporter doing the interviewing. So this allegedly is inside the courtroom where during the recent Tyler Robinson hearings. And a reporter approached a couple, as an older couple who were there and appeared to be very concerned, and discovers that they are Charlie Kirk's grandparents.
Briefly at the hearing.
What are you guys for Tyler? What are you for Tyler or the other side? Grandparents. Oh, your grandparents? Oh,
I'm really sorry you're going through this.
yeah, it's tough for you guys.
Yeah, it sucks. But we're here to support.
Yeah, we think your grandchild is absolutely brain, but I'm an investigative journalist, so
Well, I can see. I'm remember what 30 us actually do.
man, you're constant. Like I can tell you that you're very right. That's why,
And my dad was a cop for years.
Yeah.
We showed him all of this.
In other words, I don't know that this is the same grandfather who gave Tyler Robinson the rifle, but his own conclusion is a 30-06 doesn't do that to a man. Number one, and number two, that that he actually believes that Tyler's being framed, which really blows up the narrative of the prosecution, who all the time in this complaint are saying that his grandfather was the one who saw the weapon on TV, contacted his dad, Tyler's dad, and said, that's the gun I gave Tyler. I know it for a fact. I want to know where Tyler is. I want to know where that weapon is. And that's how allegedly they figured out that it was Tyler who did it. Now, maybe Tyler Robinson did do it. Maybe that is the weapon. Maybe we're all wrong. But it's curious now that the other side of the story is just some 6 months later, we've got either the same grandpa or a grandpa who is at least familiar with the weapon, very intimately familiar with this kind of weapon, coming on to say, I know for a fact that's not what a 30-06 would do to a man. And there's something wrong here. I think
I fired a 30-06, and you see him hold the side of his neck, and it's like this little spurt that comes out, right?
I didn't see it actually.
Yeah, well, yeah, but like if you watch the video of like him being shot, like
Yeah,
like
it's
he holds it and he kind of sits there for a bit. Like I shot a 30 out of 6. That thing has punch,
yeah,
right? So like you use a 30 out of 6 to take down a grizzly bear or a
right.
black bear, right? A man sitting on the chair, from what I've seen of what a 30 out of 6 could do, would have like blown him
Ah.
freaking backwards.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it hit here, it would have blown a hole in the side of his neck, and he would have gone
would've
flying
capped
because of
him.
the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he would be knocked over,
Mhm.
right? Like because of the force. Because I
Right.
remember, the first time I shot a 30 out of 6, I was like 14,
Mm.
and like it hurt my shoulder, and I almost fell over. Right, like I was blown back, and I was the one holding the stupid gun, right? And then you look at the target; there's a big old hole there.
Yeah, my
Right.
dad told me a story once. I don't remember if he remembers it now, but when I was a kid, I was like, "Did you?" When I was in the Boy Scouts, I'm like, "Dad, you go shooting much?" When because my dad grew up on a farm. He said we had one weapon, we had one rifle. He said, and I used to take it with me when I go up to Bear Lake, and he said because there were bears there, and I think he said he was riding along and he had slung over his shoulder and was riding on horseback and it caught a branch and knocked him over and took the horse over with him. And ever since then, he never had anything to do with rifles after that. It was so he thought that horse had killed him. but
yeah.
but from what I understand, people like people who shoot a 30-06 before you shoot anything else give up on guns. That gun can be so shockingly powerful. So
I was one of those people. It took me a while to get back into shooting because I was 14. I shot the 30 out of 6. I'm like, no, I'm done. Like that was brutal, So,
but the thing that's interesting about that choice is that it is designed pretty much to be a sniper rifle. It is a bolt action sniper rifle, and so. Whoever did choose, if somebody did choose to use that weapon, they chose the right one, almost with a professional like understanding of what a weapon could do. But then the question becomes, like you say, at that range, why didn't it cause more damage? Why didn't it? Why wouldn't? Why would it make such a clean wound at such a distance? It does feel like it has to have been a smaller round from a closer range, maybe even a different angle. And so that's where the concern comes up again and again to say, how did they conclude that this definitely is Tyler Robinson to the exclusion of anyone else, when now even the ATF is saying, we cannot say that this round came out of this weapon. We can't say that this round came out of this casing, as far as I know. And then when they say, well, but then you had all these Antifa messages, anti-fascist messages, which back when I was a kid, that was cool to be against fascism, but whatever. You have all these anti-fascist messages scribbled on or engraved, painstakingly engraved on these casings, and it's like, why would that's such a weird thing? And they point back to this conversation that we were just looking at, saying a minute ago, human beings don't talk like that. And
well, I got to jump in. So I want you to share this.
Okay.
This is I want you to show this. This is a YouTube short. I don't think there's audio. There could be audio. Mine's muted right now. It is what a 38 it's what a 30 out of 6 does to a watermelon, like a chair with glass like things in front of it, and even a big slab of like cow meat. Go ahead and play that.
Okay. You guys see this okay here?
Yeah, we see it.
30 rounds absolutely hammer their target. This is what 150 grain 30 out 6 round does to a watermelon. And again, in slow motion.
Wow.
Now watch the meat. That's like a human head.
30 out 6 does to a pork shoulder.
Wow.
And here it is again in slow motion.
Holy crap.
There's no way that's a 30 out of 6. There's no way that's a 30 out of 6.
Y'all are blowing my brains out with this bullshit. Now I'm confused even more.
That's wild. I mean, I figure
Yeah.
it would do some damage, but I figured just leave a bigger like exit wound and entrance wound. But that,
No, it
I mean,
tears it apart. Yeah.
I
That's
mean, again, well, like you said, it's intended to be a sniper rifle. And again, as I mentioned before, it's intended to take down a grizzly bear, right? It could take down a grizzly bear. And if you look at like what a 30 out of 6 will do to a grizzly bear, well, human beings are much more like flimsy and small compared to a grizzly bear. And it still destroys a grizzly bear.
right.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like the when I first saw, I didn't see the footage of Charlie getting shot, but
Trust me, it literally looks like he got stung by a bee for a minute with added effects of blood. I thought it was fake when it first happened.
wow,
Because I was watching it live on TV
oh
when it
man,
happened. So I was just watching his speech, and he just got shot. And for about 10 seconds, I'm like, did he just get stung by a bee? And then suddenly it clicked. Oh, there's blood. He got shot. But like, yeah. So like, you barely even noticed that he was shot, in my opinion, anyway.
yeah.
So
I mean, though, when I
Yeah.
saw the autopsy photo, I remember seeing the wound and thinking it was uncanny how closely it resembled the wounds of the governor and the president with the Kennedy assassination. And that, and particularly, I think it was in Jack Kennedy's throat. It was a very similar looking wound. And that was from, as if I'm not mistaken, that was a significantly smaller ammunition. It's a 6.5 millimeter. Or wait, no, it's
I found something even better. All right. Time here, let me type this in. Timestamp 9:54 gives a couple seconds. This is a 30 out of 6 round on a gel replica of like a human being, complete with like a skull.
oh
right
boy.
inside.
Oh, I've
Right.
seen these. I've seen videos
Yeah.
like this. Yeah.
So I will put it up for Joe because I don't know if Joe's seen these, but also whoever watches it, this is going to be good information for them to know. So yeah, timestamp 9:54. It's a couple seconds.
Here, let me thank you, YouTube.
Yeah.
You say what's the
Nine-
time?
9:54.
Oh wow, the most replayed. That is definitely
Yeah, exactly. Just go to
Gosh.
9:54. Go to 9:54. Otherwise, it's 10 seconds of him just pretty
Yammer.
annoying.
All right, 9:50.
So- 4. There you go, right there,
Okay.
right there.
Wow. Wow.
I
Jeez.
rest my case. It was not a
I'm
30 out of
convinced.
6.
I'm convinced. You convinced me. Congrats.
No.
Yeah, I mean, that ballistics gel is surprisingly easy to make. They say, but it is very. I mean, like from what I understand, that is what the professionals actually use for ballistics testing. Is
Yep.
that's how they. At least I know that's. I know that from Mythbusters because they showed how to make it and stuff and how they shoot it, how they use it with stuff. So that's interesting, man. So that's it. So now there's between that and the fact that the rifle, I mean, we don't have the rifle. We don't know what kind of scope it was. The fact that there is so much detail in that text message conversation about the kind of scope that it is, or well, at least how expensive it is, and then explicitly mentioning to Twiggy why he was putting these quote unquote anti-fascist messages engraved on the casings of these rounds. There's no logical reason to do it. I mean, it's like you go through all this effort to not get caught, only to produce every bit of evidence you would need to get caught and give it to one person and say, by the way, don't show this to anybody, delete this conversation. Oh, also, I have a signed confession I left under my keyboard for you to look at. It's like, what?
Yeah, nobody does this.
I'm on the spectrum, so I'm allowed to say this. This guy is either extremely autistic or it's all fake.
Well, okay, so that and it's curious, because like there has been an observation that maybe he was autistic. But I mean, I'm autistic, and I've never.
I've never. Am I was diagnosed in 2018. Like that goes back to the point, though, of like, could he be? Sure, but I mean,
no, it was more a joke than anything.
I don't.
Well,
he's like so autistic that like he just like it doesn't make sense, right? Like it doesn't even fit the spectrum, right?
Well, it's kind of interesting. What's interesting about it is the same thing as the trans situation with his partner. It never gets mentioned that he had a roommate, except that this roommate is trans, and it's almost like and then the more crude podcasters and so forth will say, oh yeah, and a furry, because apparently Twiggy liked to dress up with like hoodies that had like furry like ears on them and things like that, which because there's all this prejudice right now in this country against trans people, and there's lots. I mean, I don't know that it can get said enough. I don't know if we're even allowed to, but there's a lot of animus against ADHD people and autistic people who are on the spectrum. On the spectrum's used as an insult, And it's
I realize that I need to apologize. I realize I just did exactly that, and I'm sorry.
Nobody's highlighting you. I'm not. That's. But what I'm saying is, it gets mentioned.
He brings up a valid point.
Yeah. I mean, it gets mentioned almost as if in use by the media, almost as if to say, look, we're never going to address the problems that are happening in this country, violence happening in this country, until we address that these autistic people are. And it's more propaganda the same. It's like posters that they used to hang in Germany. It's like, we're never going to deal with this until we talk about those people. It's just otherizing,
But I mean,
us.
even his motive, like, so I feel like, and this is just how I see it, but I feel like I put forth a relatively solid argument for why I don't think it could have been a 30 out of 6, right?
It was an explosive argument, sir.
Yeah. So now when it comes to like the motive, right? Like for me, the hate motive doesn't pass the smell test, because outside of this, outside of his manifesto and outside of these like text messages, right, we don't see any evidence of him hating Charlie Kirk, wishing him harm, right? Now that doesn't mean it didn't exist, but if you like, from what I've seen, and I could be wrong, but from what I've seen, he didn't express hate not just towards Charlie Kirk, but he didn't even express it towards conservatives. He didn't express disagreement. He didn't do all these things. Now, does that mean he couldn't have done it? Well, no, there are lone wolves who keep their mouths shut, and that's fine. But my point is, it's very rare to do. And typically people who hate someone enough, especially an influencer, to kill them, typically they, you can find things that they've said online about the person.
Well, I'd hate to blow apart your argument there, Diamond Dave, but it does say here in the complaint from the prosecution that in this conversation between Tyler Robinson and his roommate, Tyler Robinson texted and said, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out.
I see what you're going to do.
If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, first of all, who uses hate twice like that? Gross.
Yeah,
But
that
second of all,
paragraph sounded fake.
but second of all, and this is again just my opinion, but I mean, okay, he's had enough of Charlie Cook's hatred, and some hate can't be negotiated out. Fine. Where is all of his other Facebook posts talking about Charlie Kirk and other like-minded people for the past like what 10, 15 years that he was like physically capable of typing on the internet? Where is all that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That doesn't exist.
That's got to be the preponderance of evidence, frankly. I mean, when it's all outside of the outside of what's normal for him, it's what makes it curious that all of a sudden in this one conversation, that can they actually produce the proof that these messages are going back and forth between these two devices, or is this just copied and pasted? Are they just screenshots? Did someone type them up? How did this data actually come about? And so far as I have seen, they don't have any of that proof yet.
You even look at lone wolves like Ted Kaczynski, right? For instance, or like other more extreme cases where there's been multiple fatalities. There is a history of them with animosity toward a particular group of people. Now, they weren't obviously as explicit as this magically is for some reason. But even if you look at Ted Kaczynski, long before he moved to Montana and engaged in violence, he was very, very much openly against, like technology and specific people of specific industries.
Yeah.
Long before he did that.
Right. It's almost like,
yeah. But magically, this guy kept his mouth shut all these years and suddenly just often did it. Right. It's possible, but unlikely in my eyes.
Yeah. It's curious that when the Discord thing is the other thing that I just haven't covered that because I don't think we know enough yet. But that they mention, it gets mentioned that Tyler confessed to the crime. If you read the actual Discord messages, he jokes on Discord after the shooting happens that, oh guys, people are like, wow, did you see these pictures on the internet, on TV? Don't they look like Tyler? It's got to be Tyler. Tyler, don't go to McDonald's, which is a reference to Luigi Mangione, right? And they're like, oh, Tyler, don't go to McDonald's. And he's like, oh, I won't. Let me just get rid of this manifesto and that I have lying around. And, oh, this duplicate of the rifle that I just happen to have lying. And he's making jokes about it all the way up until the arrest. And then supposedly, after he is in custody, that's when the real damning stuff comes out of his Discord. But how does he... I don't know that that there's enough to say yet. Wait a minute, are we for sure that the last of these messages where he basically confesses to everything actually happened to get posted to Discord after he is in custody with the Washington Sheriff's Office? I don't know that yet. So I don't know that anybody knows that yet. I mean, as far as I know, there's no, like, apparently some of these text messages that he's sending to Twiggy through just SMS, I'm guessing, that they are sent by his phone through like an auto send feature. I don't know of any such feature on Discord, but I don't know Discord well. I mean, maybe you guys know it better than I do.
It doesn't have an auto send feature.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it doesn't have an auto send.
I've used it for so long. It doesn't have that. Promise.
It needs one, really, but it really needs one.
Wouldn't that be convenient? Maybe somebody will dream one up now. Maybe they'll no code it. But it's curious because it's like, in this case, what can we conclusively say connects Tyler Robinson to the shooting of Charlie Kirk at this point? They don't have a weapon. They don't really have a motive. They don't have really even the opportunity other than to say he was in Utah County at the time. And it's like, and supposedly they had DNA on the trigger of the weapon. That's apparently has gone away. They apparently had DNA on the towel that it was wrapped in. That apparently has gone away. And they have these shell casings and rounds. They can't connect to the weapon that they supplied to the ATF. The ATF says you can't connect that or the spent round fragments inside Charlie Kirk's body. And it's like, at this point, you kind of don't have a case.
No, I don't think you do.
You can prove all day long that he didn't like Charlie Kirk.
You can't even prove that. That was my
even if
point.
you could.
You can't even prove he didn't like Charlie Kirk. Like, we haven't started at step one here.
I didn't
not
like
saying
Charlie
you specifically,
Kirk,
but
I mean, it's like, what?
But,
I mean,
yeah.
it
But
doesn't mean he killed anybody.
Well, sure, but I mean, the point is, it's like, when it comes to like preponderance of the evidence, and like in order to establish a motive, you have to first establish the very basics. You have to establish Charlie Kirk did not like, or excuse me, Tyler Robinson did not like or hated Charlie Kirk to an extreme. We're waiting for that. Right? We haven't even gotten to, like, and this is just how I look at it, but like means, motive, and opportunity, I like to start with the motive, right? Because the motive helps, in my opinion, like put all the things together. Because if you have a motive, then the means of opportunity will show up, because a person with a motive will seek that opportunity and discover the means, right, to do so, right? So we're still at step one of if I was on the jury, and I don't care about this case either way, honestly, but I'd just be like, you can't even prove to me, as an average dude outside of the country in Mongolia, that Tyler Robinson hated Charlie Kirk to an extreme to begin with. There's no evidence of that anywhere. So if there's no evidence of that, how likely is there that we would find evidence of means or opportunity if the guy didn't even care that much in the first place, right?
Yeah. Again, though, there is this conversation between Tyler Robinson and his trans roommate, supposedly, and it's, I feel like, in case anybody goes, Joe, shut up, you're going on harping on about this. This is the whole point for me. As far as we know so far, there's 3 primary witnesses that are going to be called in by the prosecution on this case. One is Tyler Robinson's roommate, and then the other 2 apparently so far are his parents. And it's and first of all, you got a pretty slim case right there. First of all, you got 3 people who weren't there when this thing happened, can't confirm that they know that he pulled the trigger. Or why, and apparently with Twiggy or Lance Twiggs, this conversation that you're looking at on the screen is the damning conversation. And so if this conversation turns out, if not to be real, if somebody can cross-examine Lance Twiggs to the point of saying, look, prove to us that this is the case. How did you give them the messages? Where, why does he sound so strange? Why does he give such particular information? If somebody can examine him, cross-examine him to the point where, or them, I don't know their pronouns, to the point where they admit, look, okay, maybe, the police talked me into, all of this after the fact, or maybe they told me to reconstruct it as best as I could remember. And, somebody help me out. If they can prove this conversation didn't happen the way it is here, this whole case is basically sunk, because there's nothing else. Everything is hinged on this. And the reason why I find this particularly timely today, sorry about that, is because today the judge issued the order, or no, apparently the prosecution gave, how did they call it? They gave immunity to Lance Twiggs for a recording he gave on April 20th, and they're going to let the judge see it here in the next couple of weeks, apparently. So in other words, the testimony of Lance Twiggs is basically on tape, having been basically collected by the prosecution already. It's like it feels like they're doing a lot of work to try and keep them out of a courtroom. And because as far as I can tell, their whole case rides on that. This Lance Twiggs is telling the truth, either that and or his parents. But again, none of these people can prove that Tyler Robinson was there or that he pulled the trigger. But what they do have, what it looks like they are trying to prove now is they have this enhancement to the charges, which is that he did it to shut Charlie Kirk up for his political ideas. And like you said, Dave, they can't prove that. Even if he said the most hateful things about Charlie Kirk in the world, they can't say that he did Charlie Kirk in to shut him up because of his specific political beliefs, when he doesn't even mention any of Charlie Kirk's political beliefs. Nobody even knows this guy to be a political person. He's described by his parents as, oh, he's totally a leftist now. Why? Oh, he's all about trans rights and gay people, they said. Well, that's not exclusively a leftist thing. There are leftists who don't like gay people. There are leftists who don't like trans people. I mean,
on the flip side, there are conservatives who are not MAGA, and I kind of fall in this category. We just don't care. Like it's not like, okay, fine, you're gay, you're trans, cool. Right. Like, what does that have to do with economic policy? Right. I don't care.
Yeah.
So
to prove that somebody would kill a person over those ideas, you're going to need more. Just like you're saying, Dave, they're going to need more than one person. They're going to need Facebook posts. They're going to need, Discord chats. They're going to need something.
Well, community affiliations, even. They're going to have to pull his whole Discord and find not just Facebook posts, but private messages, things he said. They're going to have to tear through everyone that has ever known him or hung out with him consistently, and try and piece together all that.
Yep.
Because that there's just again, I don't really care about either person either way. But in the case, right? But if I was a juror, I'd be thinking about that 30 out of 6 video, and I'd just be like, that's not a 30 out of 6. I'm confused. And then reading the Discord chats, okay, this sounds weird. Oh, there's an enhancement of on the live Charlie Kirk to shut him up. Okay, so where is the evidence that he's political and hated Charlie Kirk? Oh, you don't have that either. Okay, why am I here? Right? What is the function of me being paid $20 an hour of jury duty when I could be doing something better with my time?
Right. If that. And if it all comes down to 3 witnesses and all of them, somebody can put a motive to it and say, oh, maybe Lance or maybe Twiggy was worried that Tyler was going to dump them. Maybe Tyler's parents had some kind of political animus against him when he made the wrong comment about Trump or something like this, right? Whatever it may be. If you can disqualify 1 out of 3 of these witnesses, this whole thing is a farce. There's nothing left of it. That's how slim this case is right now. So it's going to make an interesting case. And again, for all I know, maybe he did do it. But I mean, this is not the group that you want proving it.
Well, exactly. And as the saying goes, I saw this from a defense attorney on a billboard on Facebook, and this guy's entire tagline is, and I quote, "Just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty." Look it up. It's an actual Facebook meme. Google it.
I believe it.
But I mean, he could have done it. But if he did,
I'm going to use that
evidence. Yeah, if he did do it, which is a possibility, right? But there's 0 evidence for it. What does that mean in a court of law? You know what I mean? So
And what's worse, and I'll probably close with this because it's getting late for all of us here, is that if he does getting a
Oh, your mic died. We can't hear you.
how about now?
There you go.
Better.
There you go. If he does get convicted and he does get the firing squad at this rate for it, how are they ever going to defend again when somebody says, look, in Utah, if the prosecutors and the cops tell the court that, you know, the sky is green and convicted for that, then the courts just do it, you know? I mean, at that point,
Yeah.
how are they going to argue for law and order both functioning in Utah? So that's
Well,
my
not
take.
even that. I mean, like if he gets convicted, I'm almost positive that the defense is going to hardcore appeal the shit out of this case, because the only way to appeal a case is to use facts, evidence, and circumstances from the previous trial. You can't just do it because you don't think you got a fair trial. You need a reason for it. Having 3 witnesses that are shaky at best with 0 physical evidence is a great thing to appeal. Defense attorneys would be all over that.
Yeah, I mean, remember, it always bears remembering when you think, no, the courts aren't that bad. Remember, I just want to remind everyone that Bill Cosby is a free man right now. So, I mean, you can get things overturned on appeal, and so, I mean, I have great sensitivity for the fact that Tyler Robinson, hopefully, it has competent counsel, and that they will, you know, be able to at least get the death penalty off of the table for him. Probably, hopefully,
So. Yeah.
because I'd hate to think of this young man losing his life over having been effectively framed. Then that's before we get to the question of who framed him. You know, who's actually doing this and
did
what.
it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to appreciate everybody for being here. I know that it's a short live stream tonight, but I'd like to thank Diamond Dave for being here and my new friend Mark for joining us. Welcome. I'm glad you found out about the Church of Korihor.
Of course,
and you'll stick around.
Oh, yeah.
Let's wrap up with one more of a suggestion from Mark here on a godless hymn. It's an oldie but a goodie, and that is "O Korihor." Thanks again, everybody. Thanks, Diamond Dave, for coming on the show.
Thanks, Dave.